The story begins with a rogue agent Charlie pulling his gun on Agent Eggsy. Eggsy is not going to surrender without a battle, so he pushes Charlie inside an agency taxi that's waiting for him. The two of them attack one another inside the taxi and nobody seems to be winning. Eggsy tries to push Charlie out of the taxi to throw him on the streets, but the latter uses his robotic hand to keep himself steady. He pulls himself back in the taxi and Eggsy even tries to shoot him. Again, Charlie uses his robotic hand to deflate the bullets. Charlie's accomplices intervene by trying to corner the taxi with their own vehicles. Eggsy is almost thrown outside the taxi, but he makes it back inside. As he fights with Charlie, the driver is accidentally killed and the taxi smashes into a steel post. Charlie is launched outside the taxi while his robotic hand detaches from his body and gets stuck inside the taxi. Eggsy uses his driving skills and the taxi's advanced technology to move the vehicle sideways. He escapes for a brief moment, but the bad guys are after him, shooting at him with a mounted machine gun. Merlin tries to help him out by turning all the traffic lights green, but the bad guys are still after Eggsy. As a last resort, Eggsy has to use the taxi's weapons to deal with his pursuers. He launches a few missiles and eliminates his enemies. Then, Merlin leads him to a lake and tells him to drive right in. Eggsy drives in the water and the taxi transforms into a small submarine. Finally, Eggsy makes it safely in a Kingsman's base. Merlin comments that something does not feel right about this. He feels like Charlie did not fight strong enough, which is weird because Merlin was the one who trained him and he did not train him to lose fights. In any case, Eggsy has to leave, so he exits the base through the sewer. But then, the robotic hand moves on its own. It finds its way into the taxi's circuit and hacks the entire Kingsman agency, acquiring information about the organization and its agents. In the next scene, we see a place called Poppyland, which belongs to the Golden Circle. More specifically, it belongs to the leader of the Golden Circle, a woman named Poppy Adams. She invites one of her subordinates to a meeting. The man has brought a new recruit with him and Poppy desires to test the new guy by ordering him to kill her subordinate. She orders the new guy to throw him in the mincer because the man has not strictly followed her command. The new guy does as he is told. Then, Poppy turns her former subordinate into a burger and forces the new recruit to eat it. The new guy does as he is told once more. Not that he has another choice, so Poppy welcomes him into the organization after she gives him a golden circle tattoo on his chest. Right next, Eggsy attends a meeting with the agency. Merlin briefs them and talks about Charlie. He has information that Charlie has been recruited by an evil organization, although they do not possess much intelligence on them just yet. Eggsy travels to Sweden to have dinner with his girlfriend Tilda's parents, the King and the Queen of Sweden. The King wants to corner Eggsy, so he asks his opinion on the financial markets of India. Tilda makes a face wondering why anybody would know this information, but Eggsy makes a comeback and states his opinion, impressing the King. In the meantime, several missiles are launched, attacking the Kingsman's central building as well as the homes of several agents. Eggsy's home is also attacked and one of his mates is killed because he has been taking care of his dog for the night. Eggsy becomes immediately aware of the attack since the glasses he is wearing are given to him by the agency. These glasses are interconnected with one another so they can receive updates in real time. Poppy Adams is happy with this, revealing that she is the mastermind behind this attack. Eggsy flies back home, but he can't turn back in time. Suddenly, Merlin emerges from the shadows, but Eggsy is not exactly happy to see him. In fact, he pulls his gun on the experienced agent. Eggsy believes that it is convenient for Merlin not to be home when the missiles hit. The latter explains that his home address is not registered in the Kingsman's database, thus, the missiles never attacked him. Eggsy doesn't even know what to believe, but Merlin pulls the robotic hand out of his bag to explain that this piece of machine is responsible for hacking them and leaking their information. Eggsy feels like he can trust Merlin again. He is about to break, but Merlin orders him to pull himself together. They will do what they have to do, and only after they are done they will allow themselves to shed a tear. This is the first time the agency is faced with such a problem, so the Doomsday Protocol needs to be activated. Since there is nobody else left who is superior to Merlin, he has to do it. He takes Eggsy to a cover-up store and they require to enter. Once they go underground, Merlin finds a safe. He pulls an emblem out and attaches it to the safe so it can be opened. Then, he twists the numbers on the second layer of safety to crack the safe open entirely. Merlin only finds a bottle of whiskey inside the safe, which is made by a distillery named Statesman. The agents have no idea what to do with the bottle, so they assume that they should honor their lost friends by toasting and drinking. One by one, they recall their friends' names and they drink until the bottle is almost empty. Merlin blames this disaster on himself and wants to finish the bottle, but Eggsy stops him since they have already had too much. Once the bottle is almost empty, Eggsy sees the address of the distillery, which is located in Kentucky. He suggests they fly to America to find out if there is any lead waiting for them. The two of them make it to Kentucky. They are able to find the distillery, and Eggsy discovers that one of the gates is biometrically secured. According to him, this can only mean that there is more going on with this place. Eggsy uses his Kingsman watch to hack the door and they enter the distillery. Merlin looks around for clues, but he finds nothing but barrels with aging whiskey. A man with a shotgun finds them, demanding an explanation. Eggsy tells him the truth, but the man does not believe them, so he asks them to kneel down. Merlin and Eggsy attack him, but the man is well trained. Merlin goes down first, but Eggsy has some tricks in his sleeve. He tries to use his watch to put the man to sleep, but the latter turns it against him and the Kingsman agent joins his buddy on the ground. When they wake up, they are both tied up on 2 chairs. The man with the hat asks them who they are, but the agents tell him the same story, which is the truth. The man grabs a bottle of whiskey and pours it on them, threatening them that he is going to burn them alive. The agents keep repeating the same story, so the man with the cowboy hat decides to take another approach. He lights a room behind them and presents them with another man. The Kingsmen recognize the man, calling him Harry. He is one of their fellow agents. They have considered Harry to be dead all this time because he was shot by a bad guy. The man with the hat threatens them that he is going to kill Harry if they do not tell him the truth, but then a woman storms in and stops him. She apologizes to Eggsy and Merlin while she tells her friend that their story checks out. These 2 people belong to the American intelligence service called Statesman. The woman's code name is Ginger Ale while the guy's code name is Tequila. Tequila apologizes to them as well, pinning his behavior on trying to do his job. The Kingsmen rush into the White Room to greet their friend Harry. Naturally, they want to take him out of there. However, Harry is afraid of them because he has no idea who they are. Ginger Ale reveals some of the backstory, saying that they rushed to a scene with many shots fired and they found Harry lying there. Somebody had shot him in the face. Ginger Ale was able to save him because the Statesman Agency has developed some form of nanotechnology for this specific reason. Their technology stops brain damage and restores part of its tissue. Despite this, their nanocure has its own side effects. In Harry's case, he has lost his memory. Merlin is worried about his mate, but Ginger Ale gives him some hope, saying that his memory can potentially be restored with time. Later, Tequila takes Eggsy to his boss. The man who's in charge of the Statesman Agency is very supportive and promises to help them out. He even tells Eggsy that the trillions of dollars that Statesman possesses are free for him to use. Eggsy briefs the boss on what they know so far, saying that an organization called Golden Circle keeps coming up. He suggests they follow a lead, a woman named Clara. Clara is Charlie's girlfriend and she can probably point them in his direction. They find her. They have a large possibility of finding Charlie and his boss. Tequila is supposed to go help Eggsy, but he develops a blue rash on his skin, which means that he has been doing drugs made by Poppy. The boss sends Tequila to see the doctor and introduces Eggsy to one of his oldest agents, Whiskey. Whiskey will accompany him on his mission. When the 2 of them meet, Whiskey explains that they are going to use an advanced tracker that enters the bloodstream of the person of interest. They have to use this adult-shaped tool to insert the tracker into one of the person's cavities. The 2 of them track Clara down through her social media accounts and they find her at a festival. Eggsy wonders how he will insert the tracker in Clara. He can't just walk up to her and stick his finger in her nose. Whiskey explains that the way to do it is by getting the girl in bed. Whiskey tries to seduce Clara first, but she is not interested in him. She makes a gesture like she is swiping left on him. Eggsy finds an opening and joins the conversation, commenting that Whiskey can't understand that because he is too old. Whiskey realizes that he has to go and allows them to be alone. Eggsy connects with Clara by talking about their spirit animals. As they talk, Eggsy uses his glasses to get a picture of some people who have developed blue rashes on their faces. He sends the picture to Merlin, who puts the pieces together, assuming that something bigger is going on. Whoever attacked the Kingsman Agency is planning something major. On the other hand, these kids are so clueless that they have made a trending blue rash hashtag on social media. Back to the festival, Clara takes Eggsy to her tent. The young man excuses himself to go to the restroom, but the real reason for doing that is because he wants to call Tilda. He is quite honest with her and exclaims that he has to sleep with a girl as a part of his mission. However, he is not going to do it if Tilda has a problem with it. He adds that this is a mission that may put the balance of the world at stake, but Tilda is not touched by it. She has a problem with him sleeping with another girl, but since the world is at stake, she can forgive Eggsy if he proposes to her. Eggsy replies that he can't do that because a marriage with her would make him a public figure. He can't have such publicity on himself because that would interfere with his job. Tilda gets mad at him and hangs up. Eggsy returns to Clara's tent with the intention of leaving, but when she gets her clothes off, Eggsy sees the golden circle tattoo on her lower back. This means that she is not just Charlie's girlfriend, but she is also a member of the organization. Eggsy knows that he has to stick to the mission, so he sleeps with her and inserts the tracking device into her. When it's time to leave, Eggsy calls Tilda, but she does not answer. Then, he calls at the hotel she is staying, but Tilda signals the desk clerk to say that she is already gone. Later, Eggsy visits Harry again. He can't give up on him because Harry has been very good to him in the past. Nowadays, though, Harry is far from his old self. He is not a fighter anymore. His new hobby is to watch butterflies. Eggsy's plan is to make him remember by talking about their past. He recalls that he was a nobody before the two of them met. Everybody was treating Eggsy poorly until he met Harry, who taught him that a man can behave as a gentleman toward others. Even with Eggsy's moving speech, Harry can't remember anything. He offers Eggsy a handshake and asks him to let him be since he can't be the man that Eggsy wants him to be. Eggsy proceeds to have a drink alone as he swipes through the pictures of himself and his girlfriend. In one of those pictures, the couple is holding their dog. This scene helps Eggsy come up with a new idea. He visits Harry again in the middle of the night to bring him a dog as a gift. Harry is happy, but then Eggsy pulls his gun and aims at the dog. He threatens to shoot the dog while Harry wonders what kind of a person would shoot a little puppy. Eggsy tells him that Harry has shot a dog in the past. The young agent believes that if he shocks Harry, his brain might activate. Suddenly, the room starts spinning in Harry's eyes as his butterfly stickers start flying around. Harry recalls that he was forced to shoot a dog in the past, but in reality, he just used blank bullets. He did not harm the dog at all, but rather adopted it as his own. One thought leads to another and Harry gets his memories back up until the point when he was shot by a villain. Finally, Eggsy hears Harry voice his name. The two of them hug in a heartfelt moment and Harry is ready to return to action right the next day. Merlin gives him a gift, a pair of glasses with one eye covered in dark glass. Harry will have to test his skills since one of the patrons starts messing with them. He is definitely in the mood for a fight. Harry tries to reason with him, but the man keeps taunting him. Harry walks to the door and locks it. He tutors that a man is a man because he has manners. Without manners, we would all be animals. Then, he uses his umbrella to attack the guy with a beer jug, but it flies off target. Harry is attacked by the patrons and he gets beaten until Whiskey decides to intervene and take care of the bullies. Harry takes a seat in order to rest. He is kind of disappointed with himself, but Merlin speaks some words of consolation, saying that his coordination will come back bit by bit. As Whiskey beats up the Kentucky guys, the TV is hacked. Poppy Adams is displaying herself in every channel and she has some announcements to make. She addresses the President of the United States to tell him that her drugs are circulating all over the world. She has modified them to cause illness and the symptoms start with developing a blue rash. However, the symptoms will get worse as the days go by, leading to death. Poppy declares that she has an antidote and she will distribute it to the world if the president meets her conditions. She wants him to make drugs legal, just like cigarettes and alcohol. These public statements cause chaos as the news starts unveiling Poppy's personality. They announce that she has graduated from Harvard Business School, but she was considered mentally unstable by everyone. The patients start piling up outside several hospitals, but there is no room for all of them. After her warning, the president has a talk with his general and his secretary. The woman suggests they come up with a plan to help the millions of people who are going to die, but the president has another take on the matter. He would like those drug users to die because that would mean nobody would be left to take drugs. That way the society would be cleansed and Poppy Adams would be defeated. Back in the Statesman headquarters, the boss is listening to the president's conversation. Eggsy is present and agrees with the boss, who says that they need to act in order to save the millions of people who are doomed to die. Soon, Ginger Ale informs them that Clara is on the phone with Charlie. The rest of the agents hear the conversation as well. Clara tells Charlie that she has been infected and her boyfriend guides her to go to Italy and meet him in a remote location. There, he will give her the antidote. Eggsy gets moving along with Harry and Whiskey. Harry infiltrates the control room while Eggsy enters the lab where the antidotes are produced. asking to get a few samples so he can transfer them. Eggsy's cover is blown when Charlie sees him, but he manages to grab a bottle of antidote and run away with it. He mounts the ski lift along with Whiskey, but they can't go far. Charlie takes control of the lift and tries to kill them, even though the agents escape. The three agents meet in a cabin in the woods, but they are not safe yet. Whiskey sees an army of villains approaching and pushes Eggsy away from the door, knocking the antidote out of his hand. Eggsy calls him names because the antidote broke, but Whiskey defends his actions by claiming that he just saved Eggsy. Whiskey asks them to stay put as he starts dealing with the bad guys. Harry suspects that Whiskey is actually working with the bad guys, but Eggsy neglects his worries. He makes a good point saying that it doesn't look like it since Whiskey is killing the bad guys. When Whiskey returns to the cabin, more bad guys approach. The Statesman agent asks Harry to hand him his gun since he is in no condition to put up a fight. But as he tries to grab his gun, Harry shoots him in the head. In the meantime, the bad guys open fire with a bunch of Gatling guns. Harry has just the right solution and pulls out a prototype bomb, courtesy of the Kingsman service. After eliminating all of the attackers, Eggsy scolds Harry for what he did. He rushes to use the nanotechnology on Whiskey in order to save him. Then, he communicates with the base to inform them about the situation. When he is asked what happened, Eggsy replies that Whiskey was caught in the crossfire. But whichever the case, Eggsy has to continue his mission. He tells Merlin that he is going to the lab to steal the antidotes, but Charlie ruins his plan. The truth has been exposed and Charlie knows that Clara cheated on him with Eggsy, so he decides to kill her along with everybody else by blowing the lab to pieces. The agents now have to rely on their next clue, which is the name of the real transporter who was supposed to pick up the antidotes. Meanwhile, the President of the United States has not changed his mind. He quarantines the infected drug users by imprisoning them in tiny cells. Later, Merlin has acquired Poppy's location by hacking into the transporter's electronic devices. Harry reveals to him that he was the one who shot Whiskey because he thinks he is a traitor. As they start arguing, Tilda calls Eggsy and he is more than happy to pick up the phone. However, Tilda has called him by accident. Eggsy sees the blue rashes on her skin as Tilda speaks nonsense. Eggsy figures out that Tilda is currently at the stage where the infected become maniacs. The next stage is paralysis and then follows death. The line is dropped and Eggsy can't hold himself back. He jumps into the elevator, announcing that he is going to face Poppy no matter what. Harry and Merlin can't leave him alone, so they follow him. As they fly toward Poppy's secret base, Harry tells Eggsy that he is a remarkable young man. He deserves everything that he's gotten. Merlin interrupts them while they sip on their martinis to show them a few new toys. By toys, he means weapons. While all of this is happening, Whiskey wakes up and tells Ginger Ale that Harry was the one who shot him in the face. He asks her to ready the plane and he flies after the Kingsman agents. The Kingsman agents walk through the forest until Eggsy steps on a mine. One of the older agents, Merlin, has the tools to deal with this deadly trap. He pulls out a tool that can freeze the mine momentarily. He pushes Eggsy out of the way only to take his position and step on the mine with his own foot. Although his mates feel awful, Merlin orders them to continue their mission. Reluctantly, Eggsy and Harry listen to him because they know that the lives of millions of people rest upon their shoulders. Merlin lures the guards near him when he starts singing Country Roads by John Denver. When the guards are close enough, he releases the mine and takes them to death with him. Now Eggsy is mad. He infiltrates the base with Harry before the gate is shut closed. There are many guards that shoot against them, but Harry has a bulletproof umbrella that does a great job. Then, Eggsy uses his briefcase as a machine gun to defeat a few of the bad guys. But this case does not just shoot bullets, it can also launch mini-missiles. The bad guys stand no chance. Once they are done with them, they find where Poppy is hiding. Charlie is with her, but he runs away to lure Eggsy after him. Harry requires to get the antidotes, but Poppy is not going down that easily. She whistles to activate two deadly robotic dogs. Only one of them activates though because the other one is charging. Harry fights it, but the robot is fierce and he has to flee. The robotic dog hunts Harry around the place until it eventually pins him down. While Harry has no means of defending himself, Elton John appears in front of the dog and makes it stop. The dog has been programmed to recognize Elton as a friend. Elton John has been missing for a while because Poppy abducted him and kept him a prisoner to enjoy his performances in private. With Elton John standing in front of the robot, Harry uses a bowling ball to destroy it. Right outside, Eggsy starts fighting with Charlie. Charlie's robotic hand gives him an unfair advantage in battle, so he manages to get the upper hand. When Eggsy has had enough smashing, he uses a ball to hack into Charlie's hand. Now that he controls the hand, he makes Charlie do all kinds of crazy stuff. Eventually, he hangs Charlie on a tree. Nevertheless, Charlie is not going to give up and he detaches the prosthetic hand. Eggsy wants to give him a fair fight and he only uses his right arm to fight. Eventually, he pins Charlie down and finishes him. Then, the agents find Poppy and order her to give them the password that will release the antidotes to the world. Poppy refuses to help them, so Harry injects her with a dosage of her own drug. Merlin has been able to replicate her recipe and here it is. She is getting a taste of her own medicine. While Poppy loses control of herself, she starts repeating the phrase Viva la Vegan. All of a sudden, Poppy dies. Harry remarks that they probably injected her with too much of a dose. Eggsy asks Harry to try the phrase that Poppy kept repeating, but before Harry can push any button, Whiskey appears to stop them. As it is revealed, Whiskey is not exactly on the side of the bad guys. Mostly, he agrees with the president, believing that the infected deserve to die. Eggsy quickly hits him with a flash of light and the Kingsman agents start fighting him. After they are done teaching him a lesson, they double-team him and put him in the mincer. Then, Eggsy writes the password on Poppy's computer, releasing the antidotes around the globe. Once more, Eggsy does his job and saves the world. His girlfriend is now safe along with all of the other infected users. Finally, both agencies gather to celebrate. Ginger ale becomes the new whiskey while tequila joins the Kingsman agency in Britain.